She's showing us how. Doing the work, doing the work. She's making everyone take action. Doing the work, doing the work. Let's go, let's go. Not taking no for an answer. Cheryl Action Jackson doing the work. Let's dance, let's smile, let's join Cheryl for a while. Doing the work.
If you've ever heard the word faith and you dare think of who those faith leaders could be, you've had to utter the name Jakes. One would have to imagine that kind of faith, power, and inspiration couldn't possibly be contained to just one individual, but rather it would be to a pedigree or a bloodline. And I'd have to support that notion after meeting my next guest. She is the daughter to faith leader Bishop T.D. Jakes and First Lady Sarita Jakes. However, she is so much more accomplished in her own right. She is the author of an amazing book called Faithing It, a book that teaches how to face the impossible with confidence. She is my friend, and she is here on Doing the Work. Her name is Cora Jakes Coleman. Welcome, Cora.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited that you are here. I've watched you. First of all, I remember meeting you when you were a little girl at Deion Sanders' house. Do you remember those days?
Long ago.
Long ago.
Yes.
And now, look at you now. What a life you have lived.
Thank you.
I have to go back because just recently I was at Woman Thou Art Loose, and you taught us about praying and how to pray. I imagine you got that from places in your life. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. I was my first time speaking at a Woman That Loose
Really?
conference. Yes. I normally always pray. And so when my father asked me, I figured you never bring new stuff. Bring what you know you're good at
Right.
to the game. So I wanted to preach someone I knew, someone that I felt, and someone that I knew would reach the people. And the woman with the issue of blood did everything that I needed her to do for that moment. And it truly still is an experience that I'm finding hard words to put together. But whenever I go through something, I always keep her very close to my heart. I think her posture and just her tenacity and her faith is something very inspiring.
Tell me, so I grew up, of course, you know, my parents were pastors.
Yes.
So my mother would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and pray. And for you to be so young to have this prayer as your foundation, because when you prayed, I felt the shifting in that church, just literally just like, it was like, you're going to hear me roar. No, I am so serious. And I was like, oh my God, where did this such strong conviction of prayer come from for your life?
I think I've just always been kind of the intercessor for our family. Whenever we went through anything, any tests, any trials, sickness, hospital visits, anything, I always felt like we've got to pray about it. Like that's just how I've always been. And so as a very little girl, I walked with a faith that was very strong, unwavering. I always believed that prayer could fix anything.
Right.
And I've seen it work.
Yeah, it has worked. You wrote the book called Faith in It.
Yes.
Why?
I was doing a blog, and to me, faith is not like an emotion, it's an action. Like it's something that we have to do. So I was writing a blog and literally put in faithing, like, this is a word.
Cute.
And I got the little red squiggly line, and I was like, why isn't faithing a word? Like, that's what it should be. Faithing should be something that you do, something that you live, something that is an action in your life. And so I titled my blog at the time, Faithing It. And Jan Miller, my agent, she was like,
Amazing
that
woman.
is a book.
Of course it is.
We're going to do a book. You need to do a book
What
called
does that
Faithing
feel like
It.
for you, though, that you're just writing and now the Jan Miller, Dupree Miller saying it's a book?
It is overwhelming. It's my very first book, very first deal. I did everything by myself until
Really?
the very last minute. Got the contract and everything with the publishers, and then told my dad.
No.
Yeah, and he was like, what? You've got a whole deal here. And so my sister and I both, we've been very tenacious with our brands. And so it was an overwhelming experience, but now I'm just, you know, faithing is something that is a basic level of faith
Right.
for me. At this point, I have encouraged my faith to stretch even beyond that book. And so now it's ferocious.
Right,
My
right.
faith is
Ferocious faith. I like that. I have it. I have it. You just talked about the name and you did it all by yourself. When you and I both know you could have walked in and said, I am Cora Jakes Coleman and I want a book deal and Bishop Jakes is my daddy.
Yes.
What inside of you and how powerful is it that it's inside of you that says, I want to do this on my own? Was it something that just said, I want the world to know who I am and I stand alone, although I know my father's there? Because that was such a beautiful moment at Woman Thou Art Loose when he had you and Sarah. Girl, when I tell you I was at the altar just crying because my dad passed away when I was a daddy's girl. So it was a powerful moment knowing you Bishop is there and your mom is just like the cheerleader of all cheerleaders, right?
Yes.
But you said, I'm going to do this by myself. Was it just something you wanted to prove to yourself and then to others that you can do it by yourself?
No, my dad raised us with a work ethic like nobody else's business. So I wanted to show him that what he instilled in us was effective and that I would honor his name and mine in doing so, and that I knew enough to seal the deal, but I wanted him to be able to help me with the signing. I didn't sign anything until he said, yeah, you should sign it.
So Cora, tell me, what's next for you? You so accomplished the book, the ministry, but what's next for you?
Well, my new book will be coming out next year, and it's going to be along the lines of ferocious. I know that for sure. I hope to conceive my own children and to continue to implement a faith that is unwavering, that causes people to conceive whatever it is that they hope to conceive in life just by having enough faith to believe it can be done.
Wow. Thank you so much, Cora, for sharing your time with us and your faith with us. Listen, please follow Cora Jakes Coleman on all her social media platforms. She's always dropping nuggets of wisdom, and I promise, you're going to get a word for the day.
Share